Good afternoon, everyone. BC Richfield here, coming to you live from London. It's just ticked past 1 p.m. here, which makes it midday UTC. Big shout out to everybody that's joining the live stream today. Always appreciate all of you, as well as everybody that's going to watch this on recording. So please do me a favor if you're on the live stream today. If you've got any questions, bits and pieces, if there's a problem with the audio, the visuals, or if I'm just simply talking too fast, or you think it's all nonsense, whatever it is, just drop a comment in the comments box for me, please. And if not, then we're going to look to just crack on. Okay, so where are we? I've got the BTC hourly chart set up here, all right? So I'm going to start with this just very quickly to give you my thoughts. Had some really good feedback, actually, some very constructive stuff and very positive stuff lately. So really do appreciate each and every one of you. And it's really cool to know that you guys are getting helped out by this content and the content that we share over at the Nest. That is genuinely the whole point of this. So again, while you're here today, guys, then do just drop a comment. If you've got something you'd like me to look at, or we can make some time to review some alts or some charts towards the end of the stream as well. Emir, good afternoon to you too, bro. Fan of Country Club. Good evening. Jumped in to say hi. Sounds good to me. This legend here, Fan of Country Club, guys, belongs to one of the finest trading groups, in my opinion, outside of the Nest that exist, which is my boy Trader Dank. Okay, you really need to go and check his stuff out. He's a supreme trader, old school student of SC, and in my opinion, just one of the finest price action traders out there. He's got his own Discord, he's got his own crew, which is the Country Club, all doing really amazing things. And really can't speak highly enough of the guy. We're going to have some really cool content coming out soon, which I'm really excited to share with you all. So yeah, very much welcome, Fan of Country Club. Thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it. And also everyone else. So what are we looking at? We're going to go and we're going to work and do our top-down analysis in a moment, but I just wanted to start by looking at the hourly chart. So I've started labeling up liquidity, right? Because I get a lot of questions, people saying to me, what are you talking about in terms of buy side, sell side, or if you're talking about liquidity levels getting run. Now, I learned the majority of my stuff in this respect from ICT, right, who in my opinion is just one of the real legends of the space. And the principle is that when we're looking for buy side liquidity, as I always say on my streams, right, for me, this is a liquidity game built around ranges of trading, right? This is why we want to take trades at extremities, yeah? So, and one extremity would be here, another extremity would be down here, all right? Now, the reason for that is because price is moving to find that liquidity, to find the big stores of liquidity, right? That's where price is getting pushed. So we get a lot of noise in the journey, but more often than not, we get price run high to low, low to high, and this is the buy side liquidity above and sell side liquidity below, all right? So from now on, I'm going to start labeling these things up a bit clearer for you guys, because I understand sometimes that, you know, I'm just putting a load of random lines and boxes on charts, and without context, they don't really mean too much. So let's just look at this example, right? And I'm also going to show you how I use the B Pro and divergences and the RSI to give me a little bit of extra confluence, all right? So what we can see here is this was the key high, right, that we had at the time on Bitcoin, the key local high. So this represents our buy side liquidity, right? This is where we're looking for price to run, yeah? If price comes up, tags this area, and then we get a breakdown of market structure, then that's where we're looking to take our entries, right? So we would do this on a lower time frame, and I'll show you my current trade setup and thoughts, and also why we were taking longs from here. Consti, hey bud, how you doing? Thanks for joining the stream. So this is why we were looking for longs here. We posted it out on Twitter, and it's why we were short up here, right? So even before we break down onto the lower time frames, right, if we just look at this in a really simple way. Now, for me, I'm looking for two different types of entry. I'm either looking for a fair value gap refill once we have a confirmed market structure breakdown, or I'm looking for a liquidity run, right? So to give you an example, something like this, which you'll see on my charts a lot, which is where price is coming up, it sweeps a high, yeah? Then what we're looking for it to do is then close below the low that swept the high, right? So in this instance here, what you would get price comes up to here, we don't get our close below until here. At that point, This here becomes our breaker line, right? Just a name terminology that I made up. And price comes back to that. We tag it here, yeah? And what you can do really, really simply, if you're going to trade it on this kind of time frame, you want to get a limit order, yeah? You want to be a market maker, not a taker, ideally, for fees. And what you've got there is you've got yourself a nice, clean, basically a 2-to-1 trade, all right? By diving down into the lower time frames, we can refine that, which is what I'm going to show you in a moment. And then after that, we're going to do our top-down analysis, and then we're going to look at the trades opportunities that were down here, what the current setup is before we switch over, take a look at the DXY, and also take any chart requests that you've got. So if we were looking to run the same pattern down here, we would see these lows getting swept. We would then want to see a close above here. So for me, if I'm looking for bullish confirmation, because these don't just have to be trade entries, guys, right? You know, what you can do is you can say to yourself, right, okay, let me mark this up so it's accurate. Now, if we've had the sweep on liquidity here, right? We've taken the liquidity down from the low. What we can see is we've come back up. This is the high that swept that low, right? We can then see prices come back up, is retested this, which is normally a positive sign as well. But this is our breaker line. So if we were entering on an hourly chart, this, you know, we wouldn't have a valid entry until price comes up above this, closes above it, retests it, and then we would be aiming for the buy side liquidity, probably via this area here, because we've kind of got relatively equal highs as such, and there's obviously something capping the market. All right, so that is what we would be looking for there, and it also helps give us extra confirmation to our bias. All right. Hey, John, thanks for joining, bud. Blessin, Rajesh, good to see you. So let me just clear this up. Let's take a very quick look on the lower time frame. All right, and then what I want to do is go through and do a top down for you guys. Sorin, hey buddy, thank you for joining the stream. So we've got all of this here. Lovely. What else can we do to throw into our bias? We all know I like using the RSI, and I use the B Pro for my divergences, right? So think about what we just said. Immediately we've got a target, right? We know if the liquidity levels are going to get run, then that's what we're looking for, right? What else can we have to throw in the mix with this? I like using the RSI for momentum, right? And what we can see here is from our trade bias area all the way down, we are clearly in bearish momentum there on the RSI, right? So if we leave that there, one massive arrow, then we can see that from up here. So basically what we're saying to ourselves is, well, when liquidity's been run here, yeah, then what's the RSI doing? It's still trending downwards, right? And it's trending down from being overbought. That gives us really good idea that the market's maybe a little bit overextended to the upside, and it plays in and gives us confidence for more of a downside move, all right? Then if we start throwing in the divergences, and I use the B Pro because for me, what it does is it takes multiple indicators, right? And then it works out the percentage based on the divergences across those different indicators and gives you this percentage on divergence so that you can see the strength of it. For example, a 55% divergence here is really, really key. So that's what we want to see, but only when it interacts with a key level. And as we see down here, yeah, 91% one, this is what's giving me encouragement into these longs down here. And also when we look at the current trade up, you'll see what that represents as well. So I'm going to flick this off now because we know we've got our hourly bias on that. How could we trade this a little more aggressively? And again, guys, it really depends what kind of time frames you like trading on. You know, I love taking trades on 1 minute, 3 minute charts, stuff like that. All right, even a 5 minute chart can sometimes feel a bit too long for me, right? But I get to spend a lot of time behind the charts, yeah? So if you don't, make sure when you're learning that you can do it in a way that you can apply it to the time frames that you can trade. A lot of people say to me, like, you know, I'm really, really struggling to hold this together. I miss trades a lot, or I'm rushing trades, I'm taking profit too early. Quite often you're adding unnecessary stress to yourself, right? Because you're trying to scalp low time frame charts, but you're working a full-time job, you've got a family to take care of, all of these things, where maybe slightly longer term, you know, minor kind of day trades, intraday trades, or, you know, even smaller swing trades, which I know are difficult in this environment, might make a little bit more sense. Also, and we've got a lot of information coming out on this in the Nest recently, there's a lot of ways to put your money to work in these kind of markets, like, you know, money that myself, some of my team members and teammates over at the Nest have got locked up at the moment, are doing like, mid 20% a year back in stable coins, right? You're just making sure that the money you haven't got on exchange then is beating inflation, right? So before I digress too much, we're now on a 15-minute chart. What do? Our bias remains the same, and this is how we really start nailing our entries, guys. So where's the liquidity sweep? Here, right? Here's the high. This then sweeps that high. It's the same high also, which gives it extra confluence that ran our key liquidity level on the 4-hour, our buy side liquidity. Then when we see here, what do we want to find? We want to find the low that swept the high, which is here. So where do we get our entry? Right here. Now, for me, I'm not suggesting any of you guys do this, but for my entry techniques, for this to become the breaker line, for this to become valid, we need to close below it and we wait for the retest, right? Now, when we compare this, right, now our targets don't change, right? Our targets wouldn't change. We're expecting the run down to liquidity down here. Yes, I would absolutely be looking across here to think, are there any key, equal lows, any kind of area we might run and reverse into? But my overall target remains sell side liquidity. Now, if we remember the trade we just took on the hourly, we had a nice 2-to-1 risk to reward, right? And we put this above the swing higher, by the way, not the liquidity line. Now, if we reach this down to target, you can see how you can start to smash up some serious R, like your 7 Rs as we got here. Pirate, the Pirate Explorer. Thank you very much for stopping by, guys. We've got a real turnout here from the country club. Absolute legends. So look, I'm going to do a big shout out for my boy D at the end of this and his group as well, just because I think they're such a great bunch of people. And, you definitely need to go and check D out on Twitter and what he's doing. Honestly, just one of the best price action traders and definitely one of the very best people that I've met in this space. So, really deserved guy to go and check out from and a brilliant educator as well. So that's it, guys. That's what I'm looking for, right? And I'm looking for the same down here. Yeah, so as much as we were in this on the minute charts, if we're now looking for this on this time frame, what are we saying to ourselves? Right, we want to wait for our entry. So price has run liquidity. Yeah, we've got 2 options here, right? We want to check our RSI. We're saying, okay, we're down towards oversold. We're not quite in it. We can see the liquidity that we've taken here, right? We can see liquidity's been taken here. So however you want to look at it, you can run this across. But the key here, guys, is that we still need to follow our plan. Yeah, we want to make sure that the high that sweeps the low has been taken out, right? And at the moment, it hasn't. So on a 15-minute scale, we sit here and we can be nice and patient. We can say to ourselves, okay, if price now comes above here, do you one of my absolutely awful squiggly lines? Price comes above here and reclaims this level, retests it. Yeah, that's our trigger there to go long, or that's my trigger there to go long anyway. But like I say, always recommend, guys, that you do your own research on these things. Always happy to share any of my thoughts on that with you, but I'm not suggesting you guys copy me or follow me in any respect. It's just to give you my opinion and my view on the market. So with all of that said, right, let us, I don't even know what I've done there to bring that up. Let's get rid of that for a moment and let's clear this up a little bit. Because now I want to do a quick top down with you guys, see what we're looking at on a higher time frame basis. All right, it's a way that I like to look at the charts. I like to look at it from a weekly scale and down. Helps me kind of build the idea and the context in my mind. And then that way we get our higher time frame bias, which we can then plug in to our lower time frames. All right. So where are we here? Let's take a look. Here we go. Right, so let's get these 2 cleared up down here. Now, on a weekly scale, for me, I want to know what's capping the market. To coin a phrase from SZ and people like that, it's basically what's stopping the market, right? What's stopping the market going down? Where are we? And, where are our likely targets in terms of high time frame liquidity? So for me, what I'm doing, so I'm looking across these. This, to me, makes a lot of sense. Right, we can see price came up into here, found resistance, swept that high, had a significant sell-off down to here. We then built up, we then had this push higher, We had this deviation or fake out above, and then we've had this aggressive sell-off lower. What does that tell us? It tells us that there's a lot of sellers up here, right? So that's an area that we want to be cautious of. If we want to see bullish continuation, we can then pump above that, dip back into it, do a classic SR flip and look to move higher. Until then, we have to assume that if we're going long here, that we're going to target these key highs here before going for the liquidity that's above here. Now, what's capping the downside? So for me, I think it's this level here, right? And why this level here? Because when we're looking at it, right, again, same principle. We've come down, support. We've had this big sell up here. Price didn't even run these lows again, right? Big sell up. Now we've come back down. We tagged this low, yeah? We had this big reaction again up to sort of the 50 line that we've got across here. Then we've sold off again, tagged back up again. Now we're back in the range, and now we're starting to push higher. So in terms of range plays, if we pull this across, we flip this across to our range fib, which is just really simple fib with a 0, 0.25, 0.5, 0.75 and a 1 on it, yeah? Then we can see that we've got our midline here. Now, when we look at this, it becomes pretty obvious then when we look and we see, look, deviation, run the highs. Where did we stop? Midline of this range, retest the underside of it, sell off, come back up, deviate, sell off to range lows. What have we done now? We've taken the liquidity below the range lows, we've deviated, we've closed back within the range, and now the 0.25 level here is capping the market, right? So always a good way to check that in terms of how price moves. But the other thing we're saying is, okay, if we're looking for a midline, what's of interest across here? Yeah, what's kind of capping the market on this side? And if there's nothing particularly stand out and clear, then leave it. But if you get something like this, right, see this wick here, notice how we've got this, resistance, resistance, deviation, big sell-off down to the lows. Now, always look left, guys, right? And I do mean guys and girls, including you, of course, Pirate. I use guys as a multi-sexist term. Or not that that's obviously the right term, it makes me sound even more sexist, but a multi-gender term, there we go. So we can see then as we drag this back to here, actually this gives us even more confluence, right? Resistance, resistance. When we do close above it, we pump back, then we have this big sell up, right? Price can't close below. It causes this bullish momentum to the upside. We then run these highs, right? Or if that's not clean enough for you, then those highs, right? Get run. What do we also get here? We get this wick, which is taken by this wick. Then when this wick takes this one, you've got what would be known as a triple raid. Amazing trader called Ape Durden on Twitter as well. You can check him out. He goes into that a lot, probably a little bit similar to myself, learn more traditional market techniques. This used to be kind of traditional markets or FX markets, a weekly strategy in terms of looking for a triple raid. All right, which is where you get 1, 2, 3 consecutive wicks, each taking out the prior wick. So liquidity is taken from this one, then this one. Once it closes back below, then you have a big sell-off below. Casper, hey bud, thank you very much, guys. Smash up the likes. Yeah, absolutely. Let's get those likes flowing. Really, really appreciate it. So is everybody clear where we are on a weekly scale? We've got our weekly levels. We're currently within this range here, all right? From here to here, now we're going to dive into the lower time frames, right? And we're going to take a look at those. Now, obviously, the other thing I always want to check on these levels is our B Pro. We had this bullish divergence here, which led to this big pump to the upside, right? We've now not had another divergence down here. This would have given me a lot more confidence on a daily scale, right? But we haven't had that, so on a weekly scale. So we're now going to drop to our daily. Let's see how price interacted with these levels. It gives us a much clearer idea, right? And this for me is lovely because you can see it. You can see how price comes in and sets the top there. Can't progress beyond it here. We get this beautiful close, retest up to these highs, comes back down, remembering though, still keeping within our bullish structure, higher highs and higher lows, drops back down to this level, deviation. What else could we have done in that situation to give us a little bit more, right? What else, what other tools are at our disposal? Well, we can use a Fibonacci, right? So Fibonacci from the low to the high, which is that low down here to this high, we always take it in the relevant current leg. Now what we want to do is flip this away from our range fib to our traditional Fibonacci, right? So for this one, I've got obviously the 1 down here, 0, I mark in the 0.618 and 0.66, which is our golden zone or golden pocket, 0.5, 0.382, 0.236, right, and then to the 0 at the top. It's pretty much traditional range Fibonacci settings, guys, that you can get with the standard fib. Just add in your 0.66. Now, look how perfectly this came back into this zone, right? Now, sometimes when you're reading and learning, as I was when I first started out in trading, it can all seem a little bit hard to get your head around why these magic lines, because honestly, do some research on Fibonacci's. In fact, I think it was Phoenix who put some incredible stuff out the other day about Fibonacci, so do go and check him out, the Phoenix_Ash3. In fact, I'll do a share. I'll give a big shout out to these guys towards the end, get you on there as well. But look at these, right? We've got this here. Now this, it seems hard to comprehend sometimes how these areas are so well respected, but if you're struggling to comprehend that, it might be what makes you a bit more hesitant to enter positions, right? So the way to look at it is to think that you want to think like smart money, right? And that's, again, that's your ICT concepts, right? You're thinking about, okay, where are institutions buying? Where's the market being pushed to? Where's it being pulled from? Okay. Now, if you're looking at these major trading algorithms, right, they're all going to work with tools like this. Support and resistance levels are very difficult to build into algos, as the legend and a very close friend of mine, Pedma7, will tell you, one of our brothers over at the Nest, and just an insane algo builder. If that's interesting you guys, you've got to check this guy out. So that's what they're doing, and that's why often a lot of these levels are respected so well. So this comes on, and that gives us our Confluence. Absolutely crypto night. You know, I am joking and smashing around with fibs. I use them in very basic terms. You want a master of the fib subject and fib also combined with time analysis, then you've got to check out Resume, all right? So here we are, we've got our Confluence. Again, just a little extra something that gives us confidence that when we get back above this level, that we think price is ready to push higher. But what else do we know? Well, we can see these key highs here, right? So this high, yeah? Now when we're coming up into this high here, these lows, what we're doing is we can see how price is targeting between ranges, yeah? It's moving from highs down to lows. And if it doesn't reach the lows, yeah, and you'll be able to see this on a lower time frame chart, then it's often taken out by something like this, which would be equal or relatively equal lows, all right, or highs. So we're always looking for where these pockets of liquidity can be sat and where this might reverse, okay? Now, just trading this here, as soon as we have this line, as soon as we have our key high, we've got our midline here already, and we know where our key low is. When price comes up into our area of interest, our POI, our point of interest, right? Then we can look at this. I like flicking on the RSI. In this case, it's a little bit uncertain, although we're stacking a lot of bearish divergences here, all right? And what we can see actually is we don't just get this single flush here, we get this corrective move before it then comes up, takes out the stops above these highs, yeah? So we come here, take out the liquidity above these highs, but then these stops are run here, and then we get the big cascade to the downside, all right? Ed, Shaz, hey buddy, good to see you on the stream. Right, so where does that leave us? So where do we think it leaves us? Well, for me, I like the fact we've run these lows, right? And that's what made me feel bullish, yeah? Again, just to add some confluence in, we just take our fib, run this down the middle, flick this back to our range-based fib, right? And we can see, and this is why we target the 50 line, right? You'll see a lot of price action traders, range-based traders, will target the 50 line, right? Because you want a first key point of interest that you can see. If you start seeing weakness in there on the lower time frames, then you know that's when you can either start to take partials or start to scale out of the trade, all right? So if there's no apparent, clear and obvious target, right, which there would be when we start looking at these key highs here, right, the same as these ones here, pretty much equal highs across there, then use your fibs, right? Create your range and start playing it level to level, all right? And again, you want to check out just one of the most sick level to level traders. Go and check out Trader Dank. That's DAINK, all right? So what we can see here, though, on the RSI that's giving me a little bit more confidence, we've got a little bit of hidden bullish divergence down here, all right? Just zoom in on that so you guys can see it. Hidden bullish divergence coming off the back of this bullish divergence here. So This bullish divergence here, combined with the overall B Pro divergence that's playing out, gave us this little spike. We've come into our 50 line. We close off our positions. We look for local liquidity at this point, and then that's what we look to trade. All right. So what do we do now? We want to drop down to our 4 hour. This is where we've got our liquidity, right? So we can see here, buy side liquidity, all right? Down here, we've got our sell side liquidity. Guto, Nicole, hey, thanks for joining, guys. Good to see you. So we've come up here, we've run this level now. So really, we're going to move this across to here, right? Because that's where that's stopping. We've run this, we literally tweaked marginally above it and had this huge sell-off, all right? We've also got Confluence with these key highs over here, which lines up with this and this. When we ran it here, it was enough to just really get a forced and powerful sell-off. Now, we looked at how we can trade these, but the other things that we can look at here as well is why do they present good targets and when are we trying to trade them? So I personally like trading around these times. Okay, so I'll show you these when we pop onto the lower time frames. At the moment, we're just checking for our structure. We're saying, okay, well, we're still in a bearish structure here on the 4 hour, right? And the RSI is ticking up from oversold, though. So what making me feel that maybe we see a little bit of a bullish push here. We're going to take a look at the DXY in a moment. I'm going to tell you why I think that is, or what, not why I think it's going to do, but the levels that I think it's at and the levels that it's wrestling with at the moment. I think if we get bullishness on the DXY, we don't quite get this pump on Bitcoin. But I think if we get a continued pullback from DXY, and in fact, Dank and I were discussing this morning about how we think that it could be due for a small correction and maybe ranging around in a little area that we'll discuss in a minute. And similar to when Bitcoin consolidates and ranges and it lets alts off the leash, it tends to be quite similar with DXY, right? If that's going to consolidate, range, drop back a little bit, normally opens the gates for Bitcoin to have a run. So let me pop our divergences off. But again, guys, you know, if you're using the right Confluence and you've got your levels, look how powerful these can be. Remembering that this was obviously here before it ran here. We want extra Confluence. Where do we want to trade? We want to go long down here. Why? Because it's run our key weekly level. What happens? Runs a level, closes back within. We get our divergence here. Yeah, and if we were playing this as an inside bar pattern, we'd have our second bullish candle here, which is a technique used by a really good friend and legendary trader called Bast, all right, who uses a lot of patterns like that, and I often learn from this guy. But look, divergence, RSI, and on our B Pro, close back within a key weekly level. Where can we target these highs? Why? Because this is the buy side liquidity. Where do we hit? The buy side liquidity, all right? Again here, we hit buy side liquidity. We get our bearish divergence here, 73% once you know that's strong. RSI is confluent and heading down from overbought. Where do we target? Sell side liquidity. We tagged this today. We got our reaction here. We got our bullish divergence. And now we expect price to push higher, right? Now, we wouldn't take these trades on this particular time frame. We take it on a lower time frame, all right? But in the same vein, this is what I'm using for my Confluence. Why are we not in a long trade at the moment? Well, I'm going to show you in a minute. We need to remember we've got a very heavily news-fueled day today, and we also need to get our Confluence. What we can see at the moment is a massive pullback happening here. So let's take a look. We're going to draw this across here for our sell side, which we can see we've taken out here. We now actually want to put in really another sell side. I don't think that's going to be a little bit too close, right? But what else have we got? We've got these two levels down here. This one's right on our weekly level, and this one here is definitely of interest if we really, really do start to purge. Now, we've got quite a while yet, actually, until we get there, but what we are coming into now is the New York Open, right? So that's what we want to be aware of. And these are the times I like to trade, right? We'll take a quick look at that. But we've got more sell side liquidity down here. Let's drop onto our 15-minute chart. We're going to flick our divergence hunter off here on the B Pro. Now, what we can see here, these are just boxes from an indicator that's available free on TradingView. That just shows me times that I want to be trading, times that I find the best volatility for my type of trading. ICT talks about it a lot. He calls them kill zones, which I absolutely agree with. For me, it's the London Open, yeah, and the period between that. Then the New York Open, right? And then there's a little sweet spot that I'm looking to trade depending whether I'm on equities or cryptocurrencies or whether I'm doing FX. All right, so FX is kind of more of the blue box, and that's where we're looking to take those trades. But just as an overall idea, if we look back on this, and a lot of people say, when is it that we get this kind of information? Brilliant note here. Also, big shout out Theo, thanks so much. Hey bro, bless and thank you. Baltzar, brilliant name. Sorry if I've mispronounced that, by the way. And if we're looking for a reason why things have just started to dump, this guy is in here with the news fresh off the press. Now, if that's right, PPA came in higher than expected, then that is almost certainly why we're seeing this pullback. And let's remember, again, as this dude points out here, and do correct me if Baltzar, is it Baltzar? Brilliant name, whatever it is. Not good news for tomorrow's CPI. Exactly. Let's remember as well, guys, we've got FOMC minutes this evening, which is at 1800 UTC. That is the kind of stuff that really wants to shift markets. Okay. So let me show you my thinking on these, right? So in terms of targeting specific times, right, I like doing this because for me, it allows me to focus in on times that I can be effective when I'm trading, all right? You don't want to be sat behind the charts all day, every day. When you've found your niche, the way that you want to trade, what you want to do is find the times that the market's most effective. Now, as a student of people like ICT and learning a lot from him, a lot from Trader SC as well, then one of the things that you look for is, for me, it's the volume, right? And the London and New York crossover, for me, gives the really, really high volume that I'm looking to trade. It also means that I can then free up the rest of my time to do other stuff, to be part of an amazing community like the Nest, to work with you guys on Twitter, YouTube, right? And also to have a tiny little bit of a life outside of that, all right? Like you guys, I'm not sure what your hobbies are. I love to dive. I enjoy photography. So, you know, you want to make sure that you're in the right state of mind and that you're fresh to get out and do things like that as well, so that when you're at your charts, you're the best version of yourself. And I'm not going to get preachy because no one should listen to me for psychological advice. They should listen to Jimmy, your NLP coach. Check him out. Legend of a human being and just a magnificent psychologist. So what do we look for here? Right, I've dropped down to a 5-minute chart. And in fact, let me drop this down onto a 1-minute chart. Baltzar, good pronunciation. Thank you, mate. I'm sure you're being overly kind here, right? But I really do appreciate it. So we're down here on our 1-minute chart. Yeah. Now, what could just be a really, really simple way to look to trade these, right? I want to look at my RSI, and obviously I'm going to do this at the moment without the liquidity levels, which are really, really key. Okay. Okay, so in terms of the times that I'm looking to trade, so good question here from Conti. So I think there's about 5 hours difference between us and New York, right? So for me, my timings that I'm looking at over here, if I'm trading indices, equities, crypto, then I'm looking at everything really. The strike zone that's on here, or as ICT would call it, kill zone, is 13:30 UK time to 1600. All right, bearing in mind we're UTC +1, right? So you need to reverse that an hour for UTC. So that would be 12:30 to 1500, right? Now, in terms of currencies, and I do also look for crypto within these times as well, because it can still have shared volatility, then UK times I'm looking for 7 a.m. around the London Open, build up to it till 10 a.m. and then midday until 3 o'clock. All right, so UTC, that'd be 6 a.m. till 9 and then 11 a.m. until 2, all right? But they're the areas that I'm looking to set those trades up, right? And again, this is research that I've done off the back of stuff that I've learned over the years off mainly ICT, but other people as well. And I actually used to just trade these on a 1-minute chart, right? And in fact, let me show you with this here, which is the one that I always used to use. I get so many questions on this, right? And just, it's really, really unfortunate because it's not, I don't think it's available anymore. An indicator called Igor Sessions, which is just brilliant, in my opinion. So I used to trade these sessions like this. I'd want to see the 1-minute RSI, right? London heading into New York. This is the time period, right? Now, I do trade London early, but I would typically wait for London to get past 10 a.m. Right, so I want to see how it develops. what it's getting like, whether we're chopping around or that, or whether we've had any significant moves. Because for me, I'm targeting the big moves that happen typically in New York, right? But as I've explained to you all, I'm a really, really simple creature, right? Super simple. I'm not going to go through the fair value gap methodology with you both, because it's something that I use. It's something that I learned from ICT, and a few other traders that learned from it, but I'm sure a lot of them also learned it from him. But this method is very much my own. And again, I say my own. This is a very, very simple and traditional liquidity sweep method, but this is what I use anyway, right? So high, we're in our strike zone between the London and New York sessions. We set this high, we sweep this high, right? We're now looking for the low that swept the high, yeah, which we get here. Drag this across to here a little bit. Right, so we can see price comes down. Why isn't it valid down here? We're not getting any clean closes below this, which is our breaker line, or what I call a breaker line. It's not an official term. All right, and then we come back down here. Where do we enter? Well, our limit order is placed on this line here when we close below. Sometimes we close below and we tag it straight away, so you have to be quite quick with this method. But then when we do, really, really simple, we get our short order, which is on that. Where does our stop loss go? Above the swing high. So not above the liquidity line, above the swing, all right, which is there. And then where are we targeting? So for me, I'm always looking left. Now, these aren't quite equal lows, but these are equal lows here. Even on a 1 minute chart, they can often be respected. So that would be my T1. I'm going to see how price is moving when it gets into that level, right? We've got a 2.73R trade. But also remember, guys, on these really low time frames, you are going to have some seriously big positions open. You've got to pay fees on them, right? So you need to make sure that it's feasible. What do I use for that? My boy Razoon again, this little genius who created this position size manager. So it saves me doing all these calculations that we used to have to do manually. T-Raw, yo, right back at you, buddy. So what am I doing here is create this brilliant bit of kit whereby I am clicking on the entry, I'm clicking on my stop loss, and then I'm clicking on my target. And let's imagine we were taking profit entirely here at T1. We just want to get in, we want to get out of this trade, right? Well, what's it telling me here? Now it's telling me if we set this up on a standard $1,000 account, yeah, what we can see here, I don't know if you guys can see this box clearly enough, unfortunately, but let me read it out to you. So the top line, that's our position, $1,000. I don't like risking more than 2% on any trade, so that's $20 for me, meaning that $20, yeah, is our risk here. It doesn't matter if this is 50% or like this is 0.19%. What you need to remember is the lower the percentage, the smaller the move you're trying to scalp. If you want your risk to be higher and your reward to be higher, you're going to pay a lot in fees because you have a big position size. So our position size here is 10,687, right? Now, depending what asset you trade, there are different margin lending fees for that asset. You've got different, you have to set up and allow for your spot opening position, your futures. You obviously then need to consider the funding rate at the time as well. So as a rule of thumb, yeah, I use around about a 0.32% to think, okay, what's the worst case in fees going to be on this? So just got a calculator out, 10,687 times 0.32% gives us $34, right? So if we cashed out completely at this level, we've got $54 profit. We could be losing $34 of that, right? So please do remember to trade your position sizes, right, and understand your position sizes, and something like this is absolutely key. So if we look left, and let's just say, for argument's sake, we had a low down here, yeah, where prices stopped that we were targeting, then all of a sudden we can see that this gets a lot nicer, $126, right? So if we hold it, yeah, and we believe in our targets, yeah, or we trim a little bit back here, but leave the majority down to here, then $126 return for $20 risk is quite nice, and $30 in fees isn't too bad. So this isn't a live indicator at the moment, or it is. It's live, it's sick, there's people using it. You can drop by, take a free trial to the nest, come along, have a chat with Razoon. I'm sure he'd be happy to share it with you. I can't speak for him in terms of how if he's planning to release this or not, but what I would absolutely suggest is going over to Twitter and giving him a follow. So remind me, guys, I'll do a quick shout out for everybody at the end of this. to get everybody over to Twitter. And then I'm sure if you come along, look, you don't have to pay to sign up for the Nest. You can come along and join us for free. The newsletter's free. You can get a trial, come in, see what the community's about, right? But also just use it to find traders and a community that you want to be part of as well. There's a few really, really good ones out there. I'm a massive believer in this community. Obviously, it's not something that I just joined out of the blue. It's a collective of really, really exceptional traders and minds and a community of people who really want to learn, right? But there's others out there as well. Like I said, I've got endless amounts of time for the Country Club, which is my boy Trader Dank's group as well. And there's others as well. Find out where you belong. Go and try these things, guys. Go and get involved. We've got some really exciting things coming up in conjunction for Black Friday as well. So do keep an eye out for that. But that side of things, you can find some stuff and links in the description and YouTube, I'm sure. If not, just come and give me a shout on Twitter or wherever, and I can give you some information. So that's how we would trade that, right? So I hope that makes sense, guys. Now, let's see what we're expecting here. So if we now go back out, I think we can see that we're in our strike zone here, between the London and New York crossover. We're just coming into that. What have we done? What have we done? So I'll show you my setup, actually, from earlier. What my thoughts were anyway, which have been wildly invalidated now, although we still haven't come back down for these liquidities, right? So let's see how this one pans out. Let me show you what I was sharing with the group this morning. I believe I put this on Twitter as well. You can see these wonderful squiggles, right? So this is what I was looking at. I wanted to see price to push up from here, right? To come down, push up, take out these highs and drop back down. Now, the plan was to try and get into this pre-CPI, PPI, sorry, all right, so that we could come up and use any of this momentum to the downside. Now, what you often get are these whipsaw type effects, which we can see here, flushing out any stops that are below here, right? Just think about this. Let me get this off your screen. Right, so think about it like this. If you want to go long here, and you want to create liquidity, what do you want to do? Right, you've got this key level here, which we've clearly got stops resting beneath. So you want to take that out. You want to take out any stops that are there, right? And you can work your way all the way back along these levels, these naked lows, yeah? But the idea being the target that's down here, which we didn't quite reach, yeah? But came very close to. All of these stop losses have now been taken out, creating loads of liquidity to the upside. That can get gobbled up and price can fly up. However, around news-driven events, we do want to be careful, right? Because then exactly the same can happen in the opposite direction. We take out these highs, this high here, for example, right? And then we're creating liquidity to the downside. So it's not always easy to trade around these events. And personally, it's something that I try and avoid. However, when price was starting to build a bit of momentum here and looks like we were going to clear this high, it seemed like a little bit of a no-brainer here to think that we might come up from here, run this, come back below, close below that low. We get a nice trigger here when we get that, and then we can look to push lower. However, we didn't get it, but one of the good things about having a good trigger system like that needs confirmation is we don't just need to enter blindly, okay? So where are we at the moment with Bitcoin? What do we think is going to happen? Well, look, we've got our liquidity levels, right? We haven't run the sell side. We haven't run the buy side. I wouldn't look to be getting involved here. Look again, as we had after more news announcements last time. I know it's only on a 15 minutes, but these big, indecisive, almost Darth Maul-esque candles, which big wicks to the downside, big wicks to the upside. What's it served to do? Take out the stops above here, take out the stops below, all of here, build loads of liquidity, and now the market can basically do what it wants. If we were looking at this from an RSI perspective, I think we'd be saying to ourselves, we're below the 50 line here and we're trending down. So for me, it's a bit indecisive at the moment. We've lost this diagonal trend line, all right, which has been supporting price. But again, we're now into real news territory. So I'm probably going to chill away from the charts for a little bit and take a look at other opportunities. So bearing in mind with that, T-Raw, thank you so much, brother. Really, really appreciate that. Clean looking chart. Legend. Thank you. I don't like too much clutter on charts, actually. I used to trade with loads of indicators when I first started, and it just used to drive me mad and run me in circles. So what do we want to cover now before I ramble on for another hour? So FOMC minutes, please be aware of them, 1800 UTC. We've done our BTC. We've looked at the high time frame levels and then taken that down a little bit lower. Let's take a look at DXY. And let me show you my thoughts on DXY. So this here, this level here, in my opinion, is at the moment is what's capping price, what's holding it back. And then above it, we've got this key high time frame level here, which I'll show you when we really zoom out. Now, DXY it's been so strong, right? So for people that don't know, please research it, right? Because it's the dollar index, meaning that it's weighted to a select number of currencies, but heavier weighted towards the euro than any others. So while this shows a lot of strength in the dollar, there's two things behind that. One is that it's the world's reserve currency, so it's seen as the real flight to safety, right, as an asset. Secondly, it's how terribly the euro's been doing, right, as well, and stuff like the pound as well, right? So basically, all these other currencies are falling apart around it. And if you want to know more about macroeconomics, a really good into that kind of world is following JJ Cycles, all right, total legend, and a guy that's really, really knowledgeable in that and very much connected with the people in that space who are also super, super knowledgeable and work in this and have great reputation in it. But for me, these are the levels that I'm interested in, right? When we swept these highs, see, look, same technique, guys. Highs, swept, close below the lows, we get our retest, we sell off, right? Now, we didn't quite get down into here, but where we absolutely did get to was this consolidation here, all right? Not cherry picking, but if we're just taking the volume of the candles, yeah, meaning the bodies and not the wicks, we can see here that this is where we tagged. Did we know it was going to reverse there? No, but again, we just want to put these bits in place so we can see how price reacts when it gets there, yeah? And even if you were trading this on a 4 hour, there's your high, there's your low, there's your break, right? So then at that point, you're saying, okay, actually, I think this thing's going to push higher. So what we want to see here from a risk perspective is if we want to see Bitcoin doing well, we want to start seeing these levels lost. Yeah, we want to see ourselves trading back down to here. I think if we get back in this kind of area here, that'd be quite good. But as trader Dank and I were talking about this morning, right, we could see price kind of hanging about in here for a while. But that's not a bad thing, right? Because if that starts to range around in here and really fails any kind of key breakout, then that could be good for Bitcoin, right, and risk assets. So at the moment, I'm watching this level here. If I zoom out aggressively and show you where I've got my higher time frame levels from, here, right? So this isn't the absolute high. This is the high that got run before the sell-off and retested. For me, that makes it a key area of interest. Obviously, if we do run the highs, it's marginally above that. Where's this? This represents the breakdown level that we had. So we came up for the high. Again, like I'm always saying, guys, we came up, swept this. When we came back into resistance, this is the low that we had. So this is the build-up of the move before the breakdown. This is taking the bottom of those bodies. This has actually been taken off a weekly scale as well. We can see that's currently what's capping the upside. And then we had this area here that I was interested to see how price reacted. We got an initial rejection, but then price did smash above that, but we didn't retest it on a monthly scale. However, we came back. We had this kind of up, under, and back away, all right? So that's where those high time frame levels go on. Do go and take a look at those, guys, because I do think that it's going to be very hard to see anything but strength in this at the moment. So best case we want to see is a breakdown, hold here, breakdown into this level, and also hold here. So whilst we do that, let's open Twitter and give some very well-deserved shout out to some people. I think it will do you guys, you know, it's totally up to you if you follow these people or not, or me. I think it's just like anything, it's about finding good people in this industry, right? And when you find good people in this industry, then yeah, I think they're the people that it's worth taking a look at. And then you can just make your own, assessment, right? So let me change screen. I'll go over onto my Twitter and let's take a look at these legends. So get your Twitter out ready, guys, for some follows. Let me go. Where are we? Chrome tab. Here we go. Right. So have we got this, ladies and gents? Awesome. Here's one of those legends, Phoenix. It's at Phoenix_Ash3S. All right. Guys, absolutely brilliant. Uses Fibonacci's, posts most of the trades that he's taken, and I've never seen anyone better with memes. he is just absolutely next level. Now, where's my boy? Or one of my boys, look. So, first we have here Trader Dank, yeah? You got to give this guy a follow. I learned stuff about price action from this guy, right? Just a total legend. So it's at Trader Dank, which is Daink, all right? Give him a follow. You can find information about the country club, the community he's got going over there, which is just fantastic. So I don't think this guy needs any introduction, but if you're not following him, you've got to follow the legendary Crypto Burb. Really, really good friend of mine. Someone that's helped me a lot in this space as well. Currently out talking over in Las Vegas, all right, and just headed from Dubai to go and talk over there as well. But this is at crypto_burb, BIRB. And this is the company that I work for or work with. It's a community of traders, from algorithmic traders to price action like myself to a brilliant fundamental team. We've got all of that covered. We're real focused on education. We've also got our own indicator, which is called the B Pro. You can find information for all of that in the description below, along with free trials if it's of anything to interest you guys. But do come and give me a shout if you can't find that information there. All right. And then, God, I mean, I could just go on forever, but let me give you a few more, right? And then I'll update that with a few more people afterwards as well. Crypto Knight, top guy, Burb, and the Nest team. Thank you so much, brother. Yeah, he really is. And, you know, guys are CMT level 3, right? Just, if you don't know what that is, look it up. There's not many of them. There's not many of them at all. The CMT are basically your trading and finance-based qualifications, right, around this space. And it's unbelievably difficult. To get to level 3 is unreal. The guy's one of the most knowledgeable people I've ever met. Bast. This guy is just something else, right? Again, when you get the opportunity, you find these people with low follow accounts that are dumping pure alpha, then they're all about listening to them. He uses support resistance lines based off of volume, right? So it's a really, really clever way to trade. He also does amazing things with candlestick patterns, and he releases all of his trade information free for you guys as well. William, isn't Adrian a scammer though? I mean, I don't know. You've got to make your mind up for stuff like that yourself. I think the problem is that in the bull run, I mean, I know the answer. I know he's not, because I've worked with the guy for a long time, and I've got nothing respect and love for him. And actually, when you work in that proximity to someone, you realize how much they care about a space and how much they put into it. It's really, really, no, I don't want to say hurtful, because unfortunately that gets thrown around a lot in this industry, because things like crypto Twitter, you can post 100 good trades and your one bad setup, everyone thinks you're either scamming or shilling or, you know, or a fake. But it's the nature of the industry we're in, right? So it has to be taken on the nose. A lot of people talk to him about, because of his Litecoin prediction back in the day, you know, he gets slated for saying that he thought Litecoin would like 2 or 3x from where it was at the top of the bull run. But, you know, you had people out there calling like 500 grand Bitcoins and stuff like that. Like, you just don't know, unfortunately, in this industry. None of us do. People that tell you they do are talking out of their backside, right? Because we don't. It's all a game of probabilities. I've never seen him shill a project. I sit down on him for hours and hours in countless meetings, reviewing projects, programs that are all being started, currencies, bits and pieces like that. You know, he puts a lot of work into it. We're not going to get it right all the time, guys. But no, in my opinion, couldn't be further away from a scammer. But look, it's up to you guys. Like it is with trading, you've got to make up your own minds, right? So look, no love lost if that's what you think. But from my perspective, he's one of the real good guys in this space. So also come along and follow Bast. Now, if algorithmic trading systems are your thing, then you need to file, it's PEDMA, isn't it? Hang on, PED, PEDMA 7. Right, this guy builds the sickest algorithmic systems, right? He knows things about trading and coding and stuff like that that I literally, it's so far over my head, it's just an absolute joke, really, to be honest. But that's PEDMA, PEDMA 7, yeah? Make sure you give this legend a follow. Also, make sure, if you love your fundamental side of things, you're giving King Julian, right, which is at King Julian I am, yeah? You'll see it come up. It's Julian with an X when you see his name. Brilliant if you're interested in the fundamental side. He is just absolutely unbelievable, right? Absolutely unbelievable. Razor. Razoon. Where are you, Razor? Here we are. Now, this is the guy that we had on the show a couple of weeks ago, and I got loads of interest off the back of that. Yeah, he does these absolutely sick videos, right? So this is where he just he speeds this up, right, and writes down why he's taking his trades. We've got very similar views on the market, right? But just take a look at this. The guy is so sick. Bless him, Pedma. Yeah, you're absolutely damn right on that. He is absolutely on fire, this boy. Right, see how he's working it in here. He's looking for the break of structure. Right, and then this is where his Fibonacci is coming in. He's got his range tagged out. Look at that, 50% high in there, like we're talking. Comes back in. Where have we got it? Comes back into here to the support level, trades it higher. Now what have we done? Yeah, we're running the sell side liquidity at the top here, which we can see. So now as he's coming up, looking for the swing fail, deviation, liquidity grab at the tops, then he's looking for the breakdown, right? There's your break of structure, what I would call an MSB. He's using his Fibonacci here, playing for the pullback. These are all trades, guys, that were shared in the list, right? So they're all shared. And some of them even on Twitter and stuff as well, all right? And then I'll just give this a few more seconds so you can see it play out, all right? I absolutely love these videos. They're so sick. He's using volume profile over here to add a target, which gives confluence to the 50% fib line. Again, just wait down, give yourself a bit of patience, believe in your targets, and boom, all right? Just what a dude. Great content creator, creates some amazing indicators and that as well. So do give this guy a big shout out. I mean, there's so many people. I feel bad for anyone that I haven't recommended, but let me just go through it quickly. Your NLP coach, which is my boy Jimmy. If you are interested, if you're struggling with the psychological side of things, right? Then lazy ear, sorry mate, I didn't realize that was so loud. Then this is the guy. Come and grab him up, have a shout out to him. 18,000 followers. He's a qualified NLP coach, and honestly, one of the guys that's helped me so much in this space. All right, so come and check him out. And then I know I'm forgetting people here. I'm going to get absolutely slated for this one. I'm going to give you two more. Yeah, absolute OG in the space, right? Unfortunately, you bastard Twitter. Hang on, sorry. An absolute OG in the space. The guy is just next level. Learned so much from this guy. Uses divergences as well as anyone that I know. Used to have like 50,000 followers. Twitter messed up his account, locked him out. In a matter of no time at all, he's smashed that back up to almost 9,000 against now. So that's the trading tank, all right? Now, this is where you're looking for charts and where you're looking for things like divergences and bits and pieces like this. His work is so very clean. Really simple SR levels for people, especially getting in to try and understand this. It's a really good way to get in. You know, again, using the magnet, showing you where price is getting drawn to, these liquidity levels, all right, which are based around support and resistance. And then he's also using these key divergences to bring this to your attention as well. And just one more, JJ Cycles for your macro stuff, yeah, but also for your trading in general. Guy's an absolute legend in the space, one of the nicest people that you can possibly meet, all right? So JJ Cycles, get yourself on here. That's at JJ Cycles, right? CYCLES. Guys, really doing a lot in the space for macroeconomics, which a lot of people talk about, but actually very few people genuinely understand. All right, and then suppose it would be rude. And I'll do some more shout outs. If there's anything in any areas, especially that you guys are interested in, like, you know, tokenomics, we've got like Milky, who's a brilliant fundamental analyst that works with us. But also, you know, you've got like Dusty BC, who we met when we were over in Paris and have followed for a while, who's a real unbelievable insight into that industry. And if you're interested in following us on Twitter, this is where you can find us at the Burb Nest. All right. Come and drop along, come and say hi. Whatever type of training you're into, whether you want to learn, whether you want to be part of a community, or you just want to end up getting, some nice information released, put into your inbox in the form of a newsletter, that is amazing. Just in time. He's always in and around the legend, Trader Dank. There he is. We're going to share it again just because he's made his way onto the stream. What a legend. Or in fact, I've shared Dank's information for you. Let's give you some money on the country club. Here we go. So this is at Dank's CC Club. This is where you can come, guys. Get yourself on here. Look at the alpha. This is one of Dank's students, man, putting this off. You know, I got people absolutely just moaning and complaining left, right, and centre about not being able to trade these conditions. Look at these, man. Look at them. Look how many charts. Look how many setups he's sharing with you. You ain't seeing much of this on Twitter, believe me. This is worth a lot of money, this stuff, right? It really, really is. And the boys that are giving this away to you and the girls that are giving this away to you for free with this much alpha, make sure to please, please, please go and check them out, all right? What's happening? We're just coming to the end of the stream, my man. We've just been pinged back with some PPI. Now we're waiting for CPI on the low side. Just sharing what we were discussing this morning about the idea that we could see a bit of a range here in terms of DXY, right? So if we see that, then I think, as we were saying, we could really start to get a little bit of a pop on this. But look at all this stuff, guys, breaking this down in really cool little videos. 4,000 views in absolutely no time. And to be honest, it should be 10x that. 7-hour trade here. Look, October 7th, guys. Look, it's less than a week ago. So please give these guys a follow, man. Give Dank a follow. Get yourself down. Check out the Country Club. All right. The other shares and bits and pieces I put across with you. Feeling really, really blessed to have you guys all on the stream today. I really do appreciate it. Just want to say, like, a really, really huge thank you to everybody for stopping by. Really do appreciate all of your time, all of the resources that you guys put into this. I know I've waffled on for like an hour again and do plan to keep these shorter. But if anyone has everything in the future that they want to cover on stream, then please do let me know. We're going to get some legends like Dank on the stream to look at some stuff. We've got some really cool stuff coming up at the Nest as well, guys. But do come back and check this out, all right? Look, huge mad love to all of you. Dank, man, you don't have anything to be sorry for. Absolutely love you like a brother. Everybody that joined today, seriously, huge thanks to all of you. If you've got any questions, guys, come and grab me in the chat, yeah? Come and give me a shout, and I'll be on hand to help you out, all right? We're going to be live again next Monday and Wednesday. Monday's going to be 1100 UTC, all right? And then we're live on Wednesday at 1 p.m. here, which is going to be 12 o'clock UTC. And you can tie that in quite nicely, I believe, on those days. If you go over and catch D over at the Country Club, he's doing his YouTube at 10:30, I believe, 10:30 a.m. So slide that in, then come and get yourself some alpha over with BC on Wednesday at midday, all right? So at 1 o'clock, that's British time, because it's 10:30 that Dank is on at British time. So it gives you a nice lead through on both days if you want to catch both streams. But come on, let me know what you think. Let me know subjects you want to cover, anything you want to look at, and we will cover it on stream. All right? I'm going to catch all you guys soon. I'm going to try and just run through a really quick shout out. Trader Dank, my legend, my bro, thank you so much. Ed, T, Raki, John, William, T, again, Justin, Lazy Ear, Blesson, fan of Country Club. Thank you all so much, guys. Crypto Night, Conti, Baltzar, legendary name, love that. Theo, Nicole, Guto, Ed again, there we go. Neil, Consti, the Pirate, there she is, Pirate in the house, Casper, and everybody else. Sorin, Rajesh, everyone from earlier. Really, really sorry if I missed you out, guys. Nothing but love for you all. Thank you so much for stopping by from the stream. I'm going to catch you guys live next week. Do check out the legends that I shared with you. More to come next week. Come and grab me in Twitter or at the Nest. It'd be a pleasure to see you all. Have a fantastic week, guys. And don't forget about FOMC, which is going to be printing. We're going to get the info at 1800 UTC. Have a fantastic week.